चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अन्यनाथिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सारं जङ्गमं व्याप्तं यत्किञ्चित् सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। तामसिज्ञाति यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सर्वश्रुतिशिरोरत्नं विरचितपदम्बुजः विरक्तम्बुजसूर्योऽयं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चैतन्यशाश्वतशब्दो व्योमातीतो निरञ्जनः हिन्दुनादकलातीतः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ज्ञानशक्तिसमारूढः तत्त्वमालाविभूषितः मुक्तिप्रदातश्च तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अनेकजन्मसम्प्राप्तः कर्मबन्धविदारिणे आत्मज्ञानप्रदानेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। शोषणं भावसिन्धोष ज्ञापनं सारसम्पदः गुरोपादोदकं सम्यक् तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। न गुरुरादिकं तर्कं न गुरुरादिकं तपः तत्त्वज्ञानपरं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अनन्त श्रीजगन्नाथ मद्गुरु श्रीजगद्गुरु मम सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुरादिरनादिश गुरुपरमदेवतं गुरुपरतरं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्याद्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्याद्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। गुरुदेवा नमो नमः। श्री विश्वानंद नमो नमः। प्रेमवतार नमो नमः। सद्गुरुदेवा नमो नमः। गुरुदेवा नमो नमः। श्री विश्वानंद नमो नमः। प्रेमवतार नमो नमः। सद्गुरुदेवा नमो नमः। जय गुरुदेवा नमो नमः।
अवतार शिष्याय नमः ओम विश्रमाय नमः ओम देवकार्य समुद्यताय नमः
ओम सूक्ष्मतनवे नमः ओम चिन्मयाय नमः
ओम गुरुमूर्तये नमः ओम सुंदराय नमः ओम सुलोचनाय नमः ओम सुमुखाय नमः ओम चरुहस्ताय नमः ओम केशवाय नमः ओम पद्मभुजाय नमः ओम मंदगमनाय नमः ओम चरुम्बरधरिणे नमः ओम रमाय नमः ओम मंदिरस्थापकाय नमः ओम शिलिबाबशकाय नमः ओम गायत्री अश्वने नमः ओम अर्पण स्वीकारकाय नमः ओम विष्णु पूजकाय नमः ओम नमो नारायणयेति मंत्रपसकाय नमः ओम स्मरमयाय नमः ओम मधुरकंठाय नमः ओम कृष्ण संकीर्तनलोपाय नमः ओम स्तोत्रप्रियाय नमः ओम मितभाषिणे नमः ओम वाग्मिने नमः ओम चित्रकलाविशारदाय नमः ओम व्रतधराय नमः ओम सदवे नमः ओम जगत्पन्थाय नमः ओम सर्वलोकहिताय नमः ओम भक्तप्रियाय नमः ओम सुहृदाय नमः ओम अनुकूलाय नमः ओम नेयाय नमः ओम सुदर्शनाय नमः ओम भक्तवत्सलाय नमः ओम प्रेममूर्तये नमः ओम शुभेक्षणाय नमः ओम प्रीतिवर्धनाय नमः ओम स्वस्तिदायकाय नमः ओम तरकाय नमः ओम अनुग्रहाय नमः ओम वर्धनाय नमः ओम अर्चिताय नमः ओम अर्थाय नमः ओम सिद्धिप्रदाय नमः ओम जनार्दनाय नमः ओम मनोहराय नमः ओम अक्षाय नमः ओम सिद्धेश्वराय नमः ओम भस्मभूषिताय नमः ओम आत्मलिंगाय नमः ओम लिंगक्षण प्रोत्साहकाय नमः ओम सिद्धिसदनाय नमः ओम माधवाय नमः ओम ओंकारपसकाय नमः ओम सूक्ष्माय नमः ओम विशोकाय नमः ओम सद्विकाय नमः ओम समदर्शिने नमः ओम दक्षाय नमः ओम अचिन्त्याय नमः ओम निरंकाराय नमः ओम निर्मोहाय नमः ओम अव्यग्राय नमः ओम जितक्रोधाय नमः ओम विनयशीलाय नमः ओम स्ववशाय नमः ओम कुशलाय नमः ओम क्षमाय नमः ओम सत्यधर्माय नमः ओम निर्विकल्पाय नमः ओम विरक्ताय नमः ओम अतीन्द्राय नमः ओम सत्यसंधाय नमः ओम पवित्राय नमः ओम मधुर स्वभावाय नमः ओम सुरनंदाय नमः ओम नंदनाय नमः ओम प्रसन्नात्मने नमः ओम भक्तनिधये नमः ओम सक्षये नमः ओम समात्मये नमः ओम सदायोगिने नमः ओम हरये नमः ओम सुतपाय नमः ओम सौम्याय नमः ओम गुह्याय नमः ओम विमुक्तात्माय नमः ओम गभीराय नमः ओम गुप्ताय नमः ओम आत्मरमाय नमः ओम श्रीनिवासाय नमः ओम देवाय नमः ओम द्युतिधराय नमः ओम धन्याय नमः ओम गुरवे नमः ओम दुरतिक्रमाय नमः ओम गहनाय नमः ओम भगवते नमः ओम हरिशरणमार्गदर्शकाय नमः ओम कुतस्थजगर्तकाय नमः ओम अभिप्रायाय नमः ओम सर्वमतसमध्याय नमः ओम क्षमकतभवरकाय नमः ओम प्रेमावतार श्री विश्वानंद स्वामिने नमः। अतो देवा अवन्तु नो यतो विष्णुर्विचक्रमे पृथिव्यः सप्तधामभिः इदं विष्णुर्विचक्रमे त्रेधानि ददे पदं सामोदमस्य भागं सुरे त्रीणि पदा विचक्रमे विष्णुर्गोपा अदाभ्यः अतो धर्माणि दायेन विष्णुकर्माणि पश्यत यतो वृतानि पश्पसे इन्द्रस्य युजसखः तद्विष्णोः परमं परगुं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवीव चक्षुरा ततं तद्विप्रसो विपन्यवो जागृभागुं ससमिन्धते विष्णु यत् परमं पदम्। प्रेमवतराय विद्महे सद्गुरुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विश्वनन्दः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ प्रेमवतराय विद्महे सद्गुरुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विश्वनन्दः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ प्रेमवतराय विद्महे सद्गुरुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विश्वनन्दः प्रचोदयात्। वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। श्री कृष्ण विष्णु मधुसूदन केतवारे नारायण अच्युत त्रिविक्रम चक्रपाणे देत्यादि सर्वधर श्रीधर वासुदेव गोपाल कृष्ण हरये तव सुप्रभातम्। श्री रुक्मिणीश भवनाश हरे मुरारे राधेश गोपश स्वरूप भमादिवन्द्य श्रीकारकश्रय वैकुण्ठपते भुवनेकमूर्ते गोपाल देव हरये तव सुप्रभातम्। नीलकृते कमलरूप वराहमूर्ते त्रिविक्रमाय भुवने मृदुराम राम श्रीराम कृष्ण यदुनन्दन कल्की रूप गोपाल कृष्ण हरये तव सुप्रभातम्। गोविन्द माधव मुकुन्द परेश दामोदर नन्द कदालिशोरि गोप गोपीजन समृद्ध दीनबन्धो गोपीजन प्रिय हरे तव सुप्रभातम्। क्षीराब्धिशायि भुजगाधिपतल्पशायि सद्भक्तवत्सलशायि रमङ्गशायि श्रीगोपवाममृदुतल्पसुखादिशायि गोगोपवल्लभाये तव सुप्रभातम्। श्रीकश्यपात्रिसुखनारद गौतमादि ब्रह्मर्षि सङ्गमणि सङ्गमभारतेषु तिष्ठन्ति देव तव दर्शन भाग्यहेतो गोपालशेखर हरे तव सुप्रभातम्। मन्दारचारि तुलसीदल माल्यकार्यये माल्यानि अञ्जलिपुटे समुदाहरन्ति तिष्ठन्ति पद्मवततारतले मुनीन्द्र राजा मनोहर हरे तव सुप्रभातम्। वेदत्रयं वदति गौतमकानगुह्या गायन्ति सद्गुणगणो वरदा सवर्गः सङ्कीर्तयन्ति तव नाम कदा विशेषः श्रीनारदादि ऋषया तव सुप्रभातम्। गोवर्धनोदरन गोपकिशोर गोप गोपीजनामृत सुवेश भवाति कोटा त्रैलोक्यमोहन सुमङ्गल दिव्य
Vishavarada Tava Suprabhata Shivatsachina Sharanagata Parijata Bhaktati Vanjana Kripakaradina Bando Iyamta Gayati Janapriya Divya Rupa Shinamda Gopatanaya Tava Suprabhata Padmaksha Padma Mukha Padma Dhara Prameya Padma Layashrayuta Padma Nivasa Shori Padmodmavati Surasevi Shabala Padma Padma Dinata Haraye Tava Suprabhata Chaitantale Niharanaya Mahendra Vandya Gandharpadharmadharatina Sudesha Rupa Chandranamaya Sila Chandana Lipnadena Govinda Yadava Hare Tava Suprabhata Srinandanandana Yashoda Kumara Dira Mayanga Dira Radijona Supushpahara Jitam Pudaha Sharira Rama Vihara Gopala Deva Hare Tava Suprabhata Shri Vaishni Jampavati Satya Sugamti Pandra Shri Mitra Rinda Divasa Prabhu Putra Kandyahe Tishtanti Divya Pavameta Vasevanana Gopi Manapriyaraye Tava Suprabhata Shri Krishna Achyuta Ananta Mukunda Shori Radha Manohara Janardana Chakrapane Namani Divya Punayona Vishampadanti Rami Muhurta Samaye Tava Suprabhata
Shri Krishna Suprabhatam Ye Patanti Ahanisham Bhuri Kritam Mahapapam Shri Krishna Grahetukam Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Chintamani Prakara Sattva Sukalpa Viksha Laksha Viteju Suramira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Samlama Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Kvanantam Aravinda Talaya Tarsham Ahavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Gandharva Kotika Maniya Vishesha Shobha Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Alola Chandra Kalasattvanamalya Vamshi Rathangadam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam Shamam Trimangalalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti Pashyanti Bhanti Kalayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Shimaya Sadushvala Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Advaitamachutamanadimanantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabhamadurlabhamadvabhakto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Mantastu Koti Shatavatsara Sampragamyo Vayoradadi Manuso Muni Pungavana Sovyasti Yat चिन्त्यतप्ते गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
एकोऽभ्यसौरचयितुं जगदण्डकोटि यच्चक्तिरस्ति जगदन्तचयायदन्तः अन्तान्तरस्तपरमाणुचयान्तरस्थं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि तदियो मनुजस्तदेव सम्प्राप्य रूपमहिमा सनयानभूषः श्रुतिर्यमेव निगमापतिते सुवन्ति गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
आनन्दचिन्मयरसप्रतिभाविताभिस्ताभिर्य एव निजरूपतया कलाभिः गोलोक एव निवसत्यखिलात्मभूतो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि प्रेमञ्जनाश्रुलितभक्तिविलोचनेन सन्तः सदैव हृदयेषु विलोकयन्ति यं श्यामसुन्दरमचिन्त्य गुणस्वरूपं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
रामादिमूर्तिषु कलानियमेन तिष्ठन् नानावतारमकरोद्भुवनेषु किन्तु कृष्णस्वयं समभवत् परमपुमन्यो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यस्य प्रभवतो जगदन्तकोटि कोटिष्वशेषवसुधानि विभूतिहीनं तत्रामनिष्कलमनन्तमशेषभूतं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
माया हि अस्य जगदन्तशतानि सूते हे गुण्यताद्विषयवेरभिधायमाना सद्भावनं विपरसत्त्वविशूरसर्वं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि आनन्दचिन्मयरसत्त्वतया मनसु यप्राणिनं प्रतिफलं स्मरणमुपेत्य लीलायितेन भुवनानि जयत्यजस्र गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोलोकनं निजधं निधरे च तस्य देवी महेश हरिधामसुतेषु तेषु ते ते प्रभावनिचया विहितश्च येन गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि सृष्टिस्थितिप्रलयसाधनशक्तिरेका शायेव यस्य भुवनानि विभाति दुर्गा ईशानरूपमपि यस्य च तिष्ठते सा गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
क्षीरं यदा दधिविकारविशेषयोगात् सञ्जायते न हि तथा पृथगस्ति हेतोः यस्यामृतम् अपि तथा समुपैति कार्यात् Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami.
Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Tirpachireva hitasantaramamyupetya. Divaya devi vidahetu samana dharma. Yastadmiyeva hita vishnudaya vivati. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami.
Yakarana valajale bhajati smayoga. Nidramananda jagadanda saromakupaha. Adhara shakti mavalamya param svamurtim. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami.
Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Yasyeka nishvasita kalamatavalamya. Jivanti loma vilaja jagadandanamtaha. Vishnurmahansaya yasya kala vishesho. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami.
Asmanya jasma shakalechu nijeshu tejaha. Sriyam kiyat prakatayatyapitad vadatra. Brahmaya esha jagadanda vidhana karta. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami.
Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Yadvadavalavayugam vinadaya kumbha. Manve pranama samaye saganadirajaha. Viganti antumavalasya jagantrayasya. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami.
Agnir mahi ganganam ambut marudishascha. Kalastatatma manasiti jagatrayani. Yasmat bhavanti vibhavanti vishanti yamcha. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami.
Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Yachakshuresha savita sakala grahana. Rajasamasta suramurti rajesha deshaha. Yasya naya brahmati samruta kala chakro. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami.
Dharmotapapa nichayan shrutayastapamsi. Brahmadikita patagadhavayascha jivaha. Yaddattamatra vibhava prakata prabhava. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami.
Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Yasvindra gopamata ahosma karma. Kamdana rupa parabhajana matanoti. Kamani nirtanati kintu sabhakti vaja. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Yam krodha kama sahaja pranaya hiti. Vatsalya moha guru gaurava sedya bhavahe. Sanchitya tasya sansintanura purete. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami.
Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Om Agnanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaham. Good morning, Jai Gurudev. Welcome to the Bhagavatam lectures, SPN. So today I choose a story. It's in the Canto 11. And it's inside of what we know as the Uddhava Gita. That is a conversation between Krishna and Uddhava after the war. And he's also giving transcendental knowledge to Uddhava. And in this part, he's narrating the story of King Yadu and the meeting with the Brahmana, with the Avaduta. Guruji commented on this. Is the Avaduta who took different symbols in nature and made them his gurus. So he took 24 gurus from nature and he learned from them. And in this moment, he's giving to the king what he learned from these beings. And he took, for example, not only beings, but also elements like earth, wind, fire, a prostitute, a snake, an elephant, a beast, the beekeeper, the honeybees, beekeepers. So basically he was observing the world around him and he was making conclusions. And these conclusions was the guide for his life. So life was teaching him. So the 16th guru of him is Pingala, and she was a prostitute. And they named her as a reformed prostitute because this is her story. One day, while she was waiting for her clients, she was standing at the door and waiting for the next man to require her services. And no men were walking inside the door, and she started to become anxious about who will be the next man who comes inside my house. And she was thinking all the time, hopefully he's a rich man, so he pays good money for my services. But the day gave place to disappointment and frustration because that man didn't arrive. Many men came through the door, but was not the ideal man that she was waiting for. So this disappointment actually is a very important point in her life because instead of going sad into depression because no ideal man would come, she actually felt or experienced for the first time the detachment of the situation. And this detachment gave place to happiness. And she realized in this point that she has completely neglected the self. That being that inhabits inside of her. And for years, she didn't take care of him. She said, I torture my soul looking for sex and money. And then she realized something that I think is also in the Guru Kripa, in the booklet that many of us were recommended to read. She says, she realized that the body is just a house of flesh, hair, skin, nails, stool, and urine, blood, constantly excreting substances through the 9 holes. Govinda. So she says for herself, so full to dedicate my life to the body. And she realized that the only worthy of this service is actually God. And she surrenders to him. So this is the Canto 11, chapter 8, verse 42. Admei vahiyan mogopta nirvedyeta yadikilat apramata idam pashyet grastam khala hina jagat. And it says, when the living entity sees that the entire universe has been seized by the serpent of time, he becomes sober and sane, and at that time detach himself from all material sense gratification. In that condition, the living entity is qualified to be his own protector. So here is basically the moment that she turns, or we all turn within. And we realize that the serpent of time, regardless of our condition, status, caste, economical situation, has no mercy. Everybody will be eventually bite by that snake, the snake of time, and we will all transcend this material body. So this story, in my case, it helps me because I don't know in your case, but how was for you the first experiences of death? Like how in your life you have met, I guess, many people, dear ones, not dear ones, but for sure a few of them have passed away. And in my case, I remember when I was young, were three people that really struck me, that really mobilized me, their death. One of them is when I was very young, was a friend of my parents, and he was a very nice guy. He was called Matthias. Like, I will also ask if you can give a prayer for him. And he was very sharp guy, entrepreneur. He was building new businesses all the time. He was a self-made man. So he was building his new hotel, and in the region he is a little bit danger. So he decided to sleep at night in the place where the construction was happening, in case some thief would want to take the things out of his construction site. So at night, actually, some thieves came, and he was living with his brother in a tent with a gun, and he shot on the air to scare the thieves. And the thieves, they shoot back on the tent. And then he passed away, and his brother got injured. And I was a kid, honestly, and he was a friend of my parents. So this was the first experience that I had, like, okay, this world is really, our life is not endless. You know, at any moment something can happen, and I think Guruji is repeating it more and more. Something can happen that what that we consider eternal is, we realize it's not. So the second case was also old friend of my parents, and the only thing we knew about him is that he had cancer and he died. And he was a very spiritual guy, and we didn't know more about him. And then the third person was during the school. He was, I would say, the most popular guy in the school. He was the president of the the school center, you know, the ones who makes the decision about the politics for the school, from the student side, like the syndicate of the students. Super good looking. He has the most beautiful girlfriend in the school. He was this guy that everybody's speaking about them all the time. You know, he was very charismatic. And he was 17, or 18 in the last grade. And he went out with friends for a party, and then he got a car accident. He died on the spot. So also for me was a very strong thing, because I could observe a guy who actually seemingly had everything, and really in just a moment, in a fraction of a moment, everything got lost, wasted. So of course I'm not indifferent to these circumstances. I think like all of us, But then these moments of awareness come into our life. And we ask, I remember I asked myself, so what is life about? After seeing this, I really asked myself, what is life about? What I'm doing with my life? What if my life ends also from one second to the other? What I'm doing with it? But of course, I didn't have answers, so I just decided to, let's cover the questions. Let's don't worry about it now because there is no answer about it. I read, the Bible and things, but nothing really hits on the point. Until later on, when the mother of the second case I mentioned, the guy who died of cancer, she found out some writings from her son. And she sent to my parents. And my parents found interesting to give it to me. And was actually like a diary of his life with the disease. And actually, at this time, he was ordering himself as a monk. And before the disease started, because he was always asking himself the questions. He was, for me, kind of an example of a man who didn't stop asking. So he found seemingly the answers in a monastery. He ordered as a monk. He ordered himself as a monk. He took the vows. And then the disease came, the cancer on him. And the diary or all the book that he wrote, it's not a book, but small book, he's actually narrating the happiness and the joy that he experienced that every time he feels more close to reach God. How is fading out all what is fake in his life. The friendships that he considered real, the relationships that he considered real. And the disease, the cancer helped him to have all the time an awareness, a perspective of what is important in life. And he said, the only thing I want is God. So he passed away with these thoughts. Having these examples in my life, finally, I met Paramahansa Vishwananda, time after. And Guruji is not far away from that message. What are we doing with our life? What are we supposed to do? And what are we waiting until we start doing what we're supposed to do? There is a tweet from Guruji. Well, there is actually 2 tweets from 3 hours ago. Like, he didn't sleep. He came from US. They have jet lag, like 10 hours. He didn't sleep. And at 4 a.m. in the morning today, he tweeted more. One of them is explaining how the Guru travels around the whole world looking for his people, for his disciples, for his devotees. Because he vowed to them, vowed to them that he will never leave them. So because of his vow to us, he is roaming around the world endlessly until all of us, we come back to God. And then in another post, so 7 hours ago, or it's 13 hours ago, he said, the Sadguru keep explaining the truth to all in different manner, but the ignorant do not follow what the Sadguru gives. These ignorant people have been extending the warp of the cotton in the form of a number of acts with the desire for fruit on the path of the world. So I think at this point, Guruji repeats so many times that the world will not give us what we are looking for. We will not find any kind of happiness or everlasting happiness in the world. And he's repeating it in different ways, in different contexts, to different people. But the message is the same. Except you make God the only thing in your life, then you're screwed. No? And he said it in many different ways, but actually the message is the same. In the Gita, 8.5 and 8.6, Krishna says that whoever leaves the body thinking on me will reach me. But then he says in the 8.6 that the state of mind in that moment when you're leaving your body is the inevitable result of what you have been dwelt upon throughout your life. So Guruji is encouraging more and more to make God the only thing in our life, because that's, let's say, is the only secure thing that can make that in the moment that we are passing away, the only thing in our thoughts is Krishna. And then we can come back to him. This happiness that Pingala is speaking about, this detachment from the material world, is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita. In the chapter 5, verse 21, Krishna says that when one detaches from the external sensations of the world, then happiness arrives. And when one attaches to God, then bliss awakes. So, realizing that the Sadguru have given already everything, he have said everything, and we know that the snake of time at any moment will take us, that's for sure. I think it's important that we really stop losing time in this endeavor, in this spiritual path that we commit to, in order to stop roaming around and finally come back home with Guruji at the end of our life. Jai Gurudev.
Namaste Narasimhaya Pralada Lada Daine Hiranya Kashi Purvacha Shilatanka Namaste Narasimhaya Pralada Daine Hiranyakashi Purvaksha Shilatranka Nakalaye Namaste Narasimhaya Pralada Lada Daine Hiranyakashi Purvaksha Shilatanka Nakalaye Namaste Narasimhaya Pralada Lada Daine Hiranyakashi Purvaksha Shilatanka Nakalaye Ito Narasimho Parato Narasimho Yato Yato Yamitato Narasimho Bahito Narasimho Parato Narasimho Yato Yato Yamitato Narasimho Ito Narasimho Parato Narasimho Yato Yato Yamitato Narasimho Narasimho Parato Narasimho Yato Yato Yamitato Narasimho Bahir Narasimho Irdair Narasimho Narasimhadim Sharanam Prapade Narasimho
Narasimhadim Sharanam Prapade Narasimho Jaye Narasimho Narasimhadim Sharanam Prapade 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 O Narasimhadim Sharanam Prapade Narasimhadim Sharanam Prapade Narasimhadim Sharanam Prapade Narasimhadim Sharanam Prapade Tava Kara Kamala Varimnaka Madhutta Shindram Lalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam Tava Kara Kamala Varimnaka Madhutta Shindram Lalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadhirata Narari Rupa Jayo Jagadishare Keshavadhirata Narari Rupa Jayo Jagadishare O Keshavadhirata Narari Rupa Jayo Jagadishare Keshavadhirata Narari Rupa Jayo Jagadishare Jayo Jagadishare Jayo Jagadishare Jayo Jagadishare Jayo Jagadishare O Jayo Narasimhadev Jayo Narasimhadev Narasimhadev Jayo Narasimhadev Jayo Narasimhadev Narasimhadev Jayo Narasimhadev O Jayo Prahlad Maharaj Jayo Prahlad Maharaj Bhatta Swarupa Jayo Prahlad Maharaj Jayo Prahlad Maharaj Jayo Prahlad Maharaj Bhatta Swarupa Jayo Prahlad Maharaj O Gurudev Gurudev Shri Vishwananda Gurudev Gurudev Shri Vishwananda Gurudev O Gurudev 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 Shri Vishwananda Gurudev 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 Shri Vishwananda Gurudev Shri Vishwananda Gurudev Shri Vishwananda Gurudev Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yadhiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yadhiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatindraya Karunakaraya Mangala Mangala Me Yatindraya Karunakaraya Mangala Mangala Me Prapati Dharme Karataya Mangala Mangala Me Prapati Dharme Karataya Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Saligrama Pratishtitaya Mangala Mangala Me Saligrama Pratishtitaya Mangala Mangala Me Tridandadari Bodhakajaya Mangala Mangala Me Tridandadari Bodhakajaya Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Kanye Sakinkaya Rataya Mangala Mangala Me Kanye Sakinkaya Rataya Mangala Mangala Me Mananataya Darine Daraya Mangala Mangala Me Mananataya Darine Daraya Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangala Me Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare Swami Jaya Jagadisha Hare Bhakta Janon Ke Sangata Sajanon Ke Sangata Jana Me Dura Kare Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jo Jame Parapave Dukha Vinase Manaka Swami Dukha Vinase Manaka Sukha Sampati Garave Sukha Sampati Garave Kashami De Tanaka Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare Mata Pita Lumame Sharanaga Hume Kisaki Swami Sharanaga Hume Kisaki Tuma Vina Ora Na Duja Tuma Vina Ora Na Duja Asakarume Kisaki Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare Tuma Purana Paramatma Tuma Antarayami Swami Tuma Antarayami Parabrahma Parameshwara Parabrahma Parameshwara Tuma Sabake Swami Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare Tuma Karuna Ke Sagara Tuma Palana Karata Swami Tuma Palana Karata Mense Bhakatuma Swami Mense Bhakatuma Swami Kripa Karo Bharata Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare Tuma Ho Eka Kochara Sabake Pranapati Swami Sabake Pranapati Kisa Vidhi Vilom Raya Maya Kisa Vidhi Vilom Kripa Maya Tuma Kome Kumati Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare Dina Bandhu Dukhaja Tumara Shaka Mere Swami Tumara Shaka Mere Karuna Haja Badao Karuna Haja Badao Sharana Pada Tere Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare Karamitaho Paparo Deva Swami Paparo Deva Shraddha Bhakti Bajao Shraddha Prema Bajao Shraddha Ki Seva Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jana Mana Jana Tuja He Tera Swami Sarva Tuja He Tera Swami Sarva Tuja He Tera Tera Tuja Ko Arpan Tera Tuja Ko Arpan Shalage Mera Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare Swami Jaya Jagadisha Hare Bhakta Janon Ke Sangata Dasa Janon Ke Sangata Jana Medura Kare Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare Mane Chakra Koji Gidari Lala Chakra Koji Gidari Lala Chakra Koji Gidari Lala Chakra Koji Mane Chakra Koji Gidari Lala Chakra Koji Gidari Lala Chakra Koji Gidari Lala Chakra Koji Chakra Ko Chakra Ko Chakra Koji Chakra Ko Chakra Ko Chakra Koji Mane Chakra Koji Gidari Lala Chakra Koji Shama Mane Chakra Koji Gidari Lala Chakra Koji Govinda Mane Chakra Koji Gidari Lala Chakra Koji Gidari Lala Chakra Koji Gidari Lala Chakra Koji Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Govinda Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Om Shanti 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 Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om
प्रेम से बोलो लक्ष्मी नारायण भगवान की जय प्रेम से बोलो श्री बुद्ध विजय श्री नरसिम्हा भगवान की जय प्रेम से बोलो श्री राधा कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की जय प्रेम से बोलो महावतार किया बाबा जी की जय प्रेम से बोलो श्री गुरुचार्य की जय प्रेम से बोलो
सद्गुरुदेव श्री स्वामी विश्वानंद महाप्रभु की जय
ओम क्लीं कृष्णाय गोविंदाय गोपीजनवल्लभाय वराय परमपुरुषाय भरकर्म मंत्रयंत्र तंत्र औषधास्त्र शस्त्राणि सम्राय सम्राय मृत्योर्मोचाय मोचाय ओम नमो भगवते महासुदर्शनाय दीति ज्वलप्रदाय सबलिक्षोभनाहुता परस्मै परब्रह्मणे परज्योतिषे स्वाहा ओम शांति 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 श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम जय जय श्री राधे जय जय श्री राधे जय जय श्री राधे वेंकटरमण गोविंदा गोपीकचिदस्मनं गोविंदा भक्तवत्सला गोविंदा कुंडलीक वरदे एकनाथ नामदेव बद्रीनाथ महाराज की समस्त भक्त मंडली की अलवारन तिरुमनार तिरुवरगले